The first time I saw my husband buying another woman a diamond bracelet with my credit card, I did not scream. I stood outside the glass doors of Bellamy & Co., holding my son's school folder against my chest, and watched Austin Hale sign my name onto a Betrayal. He was supposed to be at a job interview. That was what he had told me that morning while adjusting the tie I bought him. Instead, he was laughing with Marissa Vale, my best friend of 14 years, while a saleswoman wrapped a bracelet that would appear later on my author business account. My name is Clara Hale. I am a novelist. I write women who survive betrayal on paper. But nothing prepares you for the day your own marriage becomes a chapter you never wanted to write. And nothing prepares you for the moment your 8-year-old son looks at you and says, "Mom, if it is just you and me, I am okay." That was when I stopped trying to save a marriage Austin had already spent. Austin had not always looked like the kind of man who would betray me. That would have made leaving easier. When my first novel sold, he cried in our tiny kitchen and said he always knew I would become someone important. I believed him. I mistook applause for loyalty. I mistook his pride in my success for love that would protect it. When he lost his marketing job, I carried the household without complaint. I told myself marriage had seasons. In some seasons, one person earns more. In some seasons, one person needs patience. I gave him time. I gave him encouragement. I gave him access to a secondary credit card connected to my business account so he could pay for interview lunches, parking, and whatever he needed while he rebuilt. That was the mistake I made with love. I thought trust was proof of a good marriage. Austin treated it like a credit line. Marissa made the betrayal worse because she knew the story of my life before the money. She knew me when I was writing chapters at 2 a.m. with Noah asleep in a crib beside my desk. She had brought soup when he was sick. She had toasted me at my first launch party. She had sat at my table and called me family. That is what people do not understand about betrayal by a friend. A stranger wounds the present. A friend rewrites the past. After I saw them at the boutique, every old photograph changed. Every hug became suspicious. Every compliment felt like a room with a hidden door. I asked myself when she stopped being my friend and became the woman smiling while my husband spent my money. I still do not know. But I know the day I stopped giving her the benefit of my doubt. The proof came in pieces. A restaurant charge on a night Austin said a recruiter kept him late. A hotel bar receipt on the same evening, Marissa told me she was exhausted from errands. A spa charge hidden between software renewals and book shipping costs. Then Austin left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. The screen lit up. Marissa. Last night was perfect. Next time, no guilt talk. You deserve beautiful things too. I stood with a lunchbox open in front of me and peanut butter on the knife, staring at a sentence that made my marriage suddenly understandable. I did not open the phone. Not yet. Sometimes a woman knows the truth before she is ready to touch it. That afternoon, I pulled 3 months of statements. The charges were there like fingerprints. Bellamy & Company, the Pearl Room, Luna Spa, Maison Fleur, the hotel downtown, a resort deposit at Silver Cove. Every charge matched a lie. An interview, a networking dinner, a meeting with a former colleague, a quick drive to clear his head. My husband had not been job hunting. He had been using unemployment as a curtain. Behind it, he was dating my best friend with the money I earned from books he told people he supported. I sat on the floor of my office, surrounded by statements, and understood the full cruelty of it. He was not ashamed of living on my income. He was only ashamed of needing it publicly. In secret, he spent it beautifully. Noah found me there. He was 8, but children are not blind. They are simply given smaller words for the same damage adults pretend they can hide. He looked at the papers, then at my face. Did Dad do something bad? I wanted to lie. Every protective part of me wanted to say no. Everything is fine. Go wash your hands for dinner. But children live inside the weather of a home. Noah had already been breathing the storm. So I said, Dad made choices that hurt me. I am handling it. He came closer and put one small hand on my shoulder. I don't want anyone to make you sad, he said. If it's just you and me, I'm okay. That was the moment I stopped staying for him and started leaving for him. My brother Caleb became my anchor. He came over after Noah slept and sat at my kitchen table while I showed him the statements. For 20 minutes, he did not speak. Then he asked, "Do you want comfort or a plan?" I said, "Both." So he gave me both. He called an attorney. He helped me copy files. He told me not to confront Austin until I had more than heartbreak. Heartbreak matters. But documentation protects custody, money, and the future. For 2 weeks, I became 2 women. One made breakfast, edited chapters, listened to Austin's fake interview updates, and replied kindly when Marissa commented on my posts. The other collected receipts, screenshots, hotel confirmations, messages, and the 4-day resort booking at Silver Cove. 2 guests, king suite, couples massage, ocean view dinner. Paid with my card? The night before the trip, Austin told Noah he had a final interview out of town. Noah looked at him for too long and then stared at his plate. That was when something in me hardened. It is one thing to lie to your wife. It is another to make your son stand inside the lie with you. After Noah went to bed, Austin packed like a man leaving for a reward he believed he deserved. He folded shirts carefully, added cologne, chose the watch I bought him when my second book hit the bestseller list. He looked almost happy. That hurt more than guilt would have. Guilt at least remembers you exist. The next morning, after school drop-off, I drove straight to the bank. I reported the secondary card lost and unauthorized. They froze it immediately. At noon, Caleb arrived with boxes. We packed Austin's clothes, shoes, gaming console, protein powders, half-read business books, and the framed motivational quote he loved but never lived by. I did not pack our wedding album with his things. I placed it in a separate box for myself. Not as memory. As evidence that I had once acted in good faith. At 3 o'clock, movers delivered Austin's belongings to Marissa's house. On the first box, I taped a letter. Austin's clothes and personal items are being delivered to the home where he has clearly chosen to build his second life. The card he used for your dinners, gifts, spa visits, and resort trip has been canceled. Daniel deserves to know his wife and my husband conducted an affair financed by my business account. Consider this the end of our friendship and the beginning of my legal response. I sent Daniel the same letter. With receipts, Austin called at 6:43 p.m. I watched the phone ring while Noah built a Lego spaceship on the living room rug. I answered in the kitchen. His voice was sharp. Clara, what happened to the card? The card you stole is no longer valid, I said. Silence. Then he tried the first lie after exposure, which is pretending exposure did not happen. What are you talking about? I said, do not act confused. I know about Marissa. I know about the restaurants, the boutique, the spa, the resort, and every charge you tried to hide inside my work expenses. His breathing changed. Where are my things? At Marissa's house? The sound he made was not heartbreak. It was panic. Men like Austin do not fear betrayal. They fear exposure. Marissa called next. She was crying before I said hello. How could you send that to Daniel? I stood by the sink and watched water drip from the faucet. Slow, regular, calm. You were my friend, I said. You ate at my table. You held my son when he was a baby. You knew Austin was unemployed. You knew my money paid for those charges. It wasn't like that, she said. Then explain what it was like to your husband. Her voice turned hard. You are ruining my life. No, I said. You built a secret life inside mine. I only turned on the lights. Then I hung up. For the first time that day, my hands stopped shaking. That night, Austin did not come home. He could not. Under legal advice, the locks had been changed. Noah slept in my bed. He asked, "Is Dad mad?" Yes, I said. Did you do something wrong? I looked at my son in the soft blue light of the bedside lamp. No, I said. I told the truth. He nodded, like that made sense. Then he whispered, "I'm proud of you." I turned away so he would not see me cry. Not because I was weak. Because I was finally becoming strong in front of the person who needed to see it most. The divorce moved faster than Austin expected because he thought I would negotiate from heartbreak. I negotiated from documentation. My attorney presented the card charges, text messages, false interview claims, resort booking, delivery receipts, and proof that Austin had been unemployed far longer than he admitted. He tried charm first, then regret, then anger. then self-pity. That was always his order. He said he felt useless. He said Marissa made him feel admired. He said he never meant to hurt Noah. I said, "You used our son as scenery while you lied." He had no answer for that. The settlement required repayment of the unauthorized charges, clear child support, and a custody schedule that protected Noah from chaos. I did not ask the court to punish Austin for not loving me. I asked the court to protect us from what his love had become. Marissa's marriage collapsed 2 weeks later. Daniel filed for divorce after finding debts she had hidden, credit lines she had opened, and messages showing the affair had lasted longer than Austin admitted. Her parents refused to cover her legal bills. Her social circle evaporated with the speed of people who love glamour but not consequences. For a while, she blamed me publicly. Then privately. Then not at all. Last I heard, she was working late shifts at a bar outside the city. I did not celebrate. But I did not rescue her either. That distinction mattered. For years, I thought being good meant not letting people fall. Now I know some people build trapdoors under your feet and call you cruel when you step aside. Austin's fall was slower. He moved from couch to couch, then into a small rental, then into part-time jobs he described as temporary. Everything with Austin was temporary, except the damage he expected others to absorb. Noah adjusted in waves. Some weeks he seemed fine. Other nights he asked whether Dad left because we were not enough. Those were the nights I hated Austin most. Not for the affair. Not for the bracelet. For planting questions in our son that no child should have to grow around. I told Noah the truth in pieces appropriate for his age. Dad made adult choices that hurt our family. You did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Adults are responsible for their choices. He needed to hear it many times. So did I. We moved into a smaller house with better light. The first morning there, Noah ate cereal on the floor because the table had not arrived. Sun poured through the kitchen window. No one lied about where they were going. No phone buzz made my stomach fall. No credit card charge waited like a snake in a statement. Noah said, "It feels quiet here." I asked, "Good quiet or bad quiet?" He thought about it. Good quiet. I cried later in the laundry room. Not because I was sad. Because peace felt so unfamiliar that it frightened me. My writing changed after the divorce. For months, every fictional husband sounded like Austin, and every betrayal scene felt too small compared to the real thing. Then, one rainy afternoon, I opened a blank document and typed one sentence. She did not lose her home. She found the door. That sentence became my next book. Readers called it sharp, brutal, cathartic, and hopeful. They asked how I wrote Betrayal so honestly. I smiled and said, "Research." But privately, I knew the truth. I had not written revenge. I had written recovery. Revenge is centered on the person who hurt you. Recovery is centered on the life you refuse to surrender. Austin still tries to rewrite the story. He tells people I overreacted, that marriages have problems, that I embarrassed him. I let him talk. Some people need an audience because they cannot survive alone with the truth. Marissa once sent word through a mutual friend that she hoped I could forgive her. Maybe one day. Maybe not. But forgiveness, if it ever comes, will not include access. I do not confuse an apology with a key. People ask if I regret canceling the card while Austin was at the resort. They ask as if leaving him stranded with his mistress was the cruel part. The cruel part was him buying another woman gifts with money I earned while telling our son he was trying to find work. The cruel part was my best friend smiling across my dinner table while wearing things paid for by my labor. I was heartbroken. I was ashamed for longer than I should have been. I was polite until politeness became another word for self-abandonment. Then I stopped. I did not destroy Austin. I stopped financing the illusion that he was still my husband in any meaningful sense. I did not destroy Marissa. I stopped protecting a friendship she had already hollowed out. And I did not break my family. I removed the lie from the center of it. The day I saw Austin in that boutique, I thought my life was ending. I was wrong. The life where I begged for loyalty from people spending my trust was ending. Something quieter, cleaner, and stronger was beginning. Now I still write Betrayal. But I write the part after. The bank call. The locked door. The child asleep safely in the next room. The first morning without lies. The first page after ruin. Because betrayal may be the twist. But survival is the story. Austin and Marissa thought they were stealing romance, luxury, and escape. What they really stole was my last excuse to remain small. They forced me to look at the truth. And once I saw it, I could not unsee myself. I was not the abandoned wife. I was the author of the next chapter. And this time, I wrote the ending myself. There is a particular loneliness in discovering betrayal while still sharing a house with the person betraying you. You hear them brush their teeth. You watch them pour coffee. You stand beside them while your child looks for socks. The ordinary world continues to ask ordinary things from you. Lunches must be packed. Chapters must be edited. Permission slips must be signed. Laundry does not stop because your heart has become evidence. During those 2 weeks before the resort trip, I learned how much pain can fit behind a calm face. Austin would complain about recruiters not responding, and I would nod while knowing he had spent $200 at a restaurant with Marissa the night before. Marissa would text me a heart after I posted about deadlines, and I would stare at the screen, wondering how many dinners my money had bought her. But the calm was not weakness. It was preparation. For the first time, I was not reacting to their story. I was writing mine. Caleb told me something the night we packed the last box. He said, "You are going to miss the version of him you thought was real." I did not want to admit he was right. But grief is not loyal to logic. Even after everything, I missed the man who opened champagne in the kitchen. I missed the father who built blanket forts with Noah. I missed the husband who once rubbed my shoulders when a review made me cry. The hardest part was accepting that some of those memories were real and still did not save the marriage. A person can be kind in one chapter and cruel in the next. Love can have happened and still not be enough reason to stay. That understanding hurt. But it also freed me. I did not need to prove Austin had always been terrible. I only needed to admit what he had become. The first court meeting was colder than I expected. Not because the room was cold, but because everything became language. Affair became marital misconduct. Credit card theft became unauthorized use of business funds. Lies became material misrepresentation. Pain became an exhibit. At first, that felt inhuman. Then I realized it was the opposite. The legal language gave shape to what Austin wanted to keep blurry. He wanted this to be about feelings. I made it about facts. He wanted to say I was angry. I said, "Yes, and here are the receipts." Anger did not weaken my case. It explained why I finally filed it. Noah's healing became the center of my new life. Not revenge. Not Austin. Not Marissa. Noah. We made rules for the new house. No whisper fighting behind closed doors. No pretending everything is fine when it is not. No child responsible for adult feelings. Pizza on Fridays, unless one of us wants pancakes instead. He laughed at that last one. It was the first full laugh I had heard from him in weeks. I kept that sound like a receipt too. Proof that truth can hurt and still make room for joy. Proof that leaving can be an act of shelter, not destruction. There was one more thing I had to learn after the papers were signed. Freedom does not feel free at first. It feels empty. It feels like the chair across from you at breakfast, the missing toothbrush, the absence of footsteps you used to resent but still expected. For the first month, I kept waiting for Austin to walk into the kitchen and complain that the coffee was too strong. Then I would remember. Remembering was never one clean strike. It was a daily bruise. At night, after Noah slept, I would open the bank app and check the accounts again, even though I knew they were safe. Betrayal made me suspicious of peace. I had to teach my body that quiet did not always mean a lie was forming in the next room. I began with small proof. A paid bill, a locked account, a morning where Noah laughed before school, a chapter finished without someone asking what was for dinner, as if my work were a hobby interrupting his life. Every small proof became a board in the bridge back to myself. My therapist once asked what I missed most. I wanted to say Austin, but the honest answer was simpler and sadder. I missed believing I was safe. So that became the work. Not getting revenge. Not watching Austin struggle. Not checking whether Marissa regretted anything. The work was rebuilding safety from the inside out. I learned to sleep with my phone outside the bedroom. I learned to open statements without shaking. I learned to let friends help me without wondering what they wanted in return. Most of all, I learned to stop apologizing for the boundaries that let me breathe. The first time Austin came for visitation after the divorce, he stood on the porch with flowers. Not for Noah. For me? He said, "I miss us." For 1 second, I saw the old kitchen, the champagne, the man who said he believed in me. Then I saw the bracelet. The resort. The card. Noah asking if he was enough. I did not take the flowers. I said, "You miss access. That is not the same as missing us." He looked offended, which told me I was right. Later, Noah asked why I did not keep them. I said, "Because gifts do not erase choices." He nodded slowly. Children learn love from what we allow near them. I wanted him to learn that apology without change is decoration. 1 year after I canceled the card, my publisher sent me on a book tour. The old me would have panicked about leaving Noah, about Austin's opinion, about whether travel made me selfish. The new me made a calendar, arranged childcare with Caleb, packed 2 black dresses and a notebook, and went. At the final event, a woman in the signing line held my book to her chest and whispered, "I left after reading chapter 12. I did not ask what she left. A marriage. A lie. A house where she had become furniture. It did not matter. She had found the door. I signed her book with the sentence that had saved me. Survival is still a love story. When I came home, Noah ran into my arms at the airport. He asked if I was famous now. I laughed and said no. He said, "Good, then you can still make pancakes." That night, while he slept, I looked around our small, bright kitchen and understood something I wish I had known sooner. A life does not have to look impressive to be sacred. It only has to be true. Austin gave me betrayal. Marissa gave me proof that history is not the same as loyalty. But Noah gave me the sentence that opened the door. If it's just you and me, I'm okay. And I finally believed him. We were more than okay. We were free. There is one last scene I think about often. It was not in a courtroom, not in a bank, not during a phone call where Austin shouted because the card no longer worked. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening. Noah was doing homework at the kitchen table, and I was washing strawberries at the sink. He looked up and asked, "Are you happy now?" I almost gave him the easy answer. Yes. But children deserve better than easy answers when they ask brave questions. So I said, "I am healing, and healing has happy days." He thought about that, then returned to his math. A few minutes later, he said, "I think this is a happy day." And he was right. No fireworks. No dramatic victory. No one begging at my door. Just strawberries, homework, a clean bank account, and a child who felt safe enough to call the day happy. That is the part Austin never understood. He thought luxury was the expensive restaurant, the bracelet, the resort suite, the thrill of hiding from consequences. Luxury is peace in your own kitchen. Luxury is a statement with no secret charges. Luxury is watching your child do homework without wondering what lie will walk through the door. That is what I protected. That is what I chose. And that is why, when people ask how I survived, I tell them the truth. I stopped asking why they betrayed me. I started asking what my son and I deserved next. The answer was simple. A home without lies. A future without stolen money. A life where the person writing the ending was finally me.